I'm Rafe Quinn. Some cases close on paper, but they don't close inside you. They sit there, quiet, until the night gets still enough to hear them breathing again. This one began with a house at the edge of a small village. A huge, forgotten mansion wrapped in trees, so thick the wind barely got through. No one lived nearby. The locals crossed the road to avoid it. They didn't warn people. They didn't need to. That house already warned you on its own. A couple moved in anyway. Two writers, burned out from city noise, chasing peace and inspiration. They thought silence meant calm. They didn't understand that sometimes silence means you were noticed. The mansion looked beautiful in daylight. Big windows, curved staircases, dust floating like gold in the sun. But when night came, the place changed. Hallways stretched. Shadows stayed where light should have erased them. The air felt thick, like a held breath that never released, and that was before the basement made itself known. Stay with me, and if you're new here, hit subscribe, because this one turns fast, and you'll want to hear how it ends. The husband, I'll call him Ryan, was unpacking boxes when he heard it. A slow creak, not once, not twice, over and over, like a heartbeat made of wood. It came from the basement. He went down the narrow concrete steps, each one colder than the last. The basement smelled old, not damp, not rot, just old, like time itself had pooled there. Then he saw it, an old rocking chair, moving on its own, and each time it rocked forward, it tapped a big wooden trunk sitting right in front of it. Back and forth, the air around the trunk was freezing. The lock was rusted, weak. He broke it without effort. The second, the lid opened. Cold air rolled out like something had been living inside that needed darkness to breathe. Inside was a doll wrapped tight in red cloth. Black body, white, empty eyes. Too real, too aware. Under it lay a torn old book. One sentence remained clear. Do not unwrap the doll. It attracts the dead. Ryan stared at the warning. Then he did the only thing horror stories tell you not to do. He unwrapped it. That was the moment everything changed. Not just for the house, but for everyone who would ever step foot inside it again. That night, the house came alive. Whispers slid through the walls. Not words, just breath with intention. Crying echoed from somewhere far away and way too close at the same time. Then the crying turned to screaming. Then silence hit like a slap. Light bulbs cracked one after another, showering glass like rain. The rocking chair in the basement started again and didn't stop. Ryan saw something else. Faces, dead faces. Mouths open like they died mid-scream. Eyes wide, as if shocked by their own ending. Distant at first, then closer, then gone when he blinked. His wife tried to calm him. She told him it was stress, fatigue, writer's brain. He didn't believe it, and honestly, neither would you if you felt what that house felt like. That's when I got involved, because people don't call me when things feel kind of weird. They call me when they know something is wrong, and it already has their name. When I arrived, the first thing I noticed was the weight of the house, pressure. Like standing under water, but still breathing air. Ryan looked hollow, hands shaking, eyes locked on corners, voice barely hanging on. His wife tried to act calm, but fear sits in the shoulders. Hers were tight. He led me upstairs to his study. The doll was there on the desk, wrapped back in red cloth, like they knew it needed covering, but didn't know why. Even wrapped, it felt like the room had another occupant. A small one, with patience. Ryan showed me the book he'd been translating. In the margins, over and over, was the same phrase, the 100-year shadow. He said it didn't haunt houses, it hunted people. Something that wakes only once every century, when rare dark nights align, like the calendar is a door, and that door only opens when certain nights stacked perfectly. The doll wasn't the monster. The doll was the invitation. I've dealt with entities, patterns, residual hauntings, but this didn't feel like a remnant. This felt current. This felt a weight. The temperature dropped while we talked, not gradually. Fast. Our breath fogged the space between us. The house became so quiet, the silence hummed. Then every light in the room went out, and in the doorway it appeared, a shadow 10 feet tall, too thin, too long, like something was wearing the idea of a body but didn't really understand what bodies looked like. It slid across the wall like liquid, stopped, leaned, studied us, then vanished without footsteps. No sound, no breeze, just absence. Ryan's wife began to shake. Ryan didn't move at all. Fear has levels, and he had already burned past screaming into something colder. That was the moment I realized this wasn't just attachment. This was predation. We went through the remaining pages together. They described the same entity again and again. The 100-year shadow. Once every century. 3 rare dark nights align. Something ancient wakes up like it hears its name. Not a ghost, not a demon. Just hunger that learned how to wear a shape. A long time ago, a ritual practitioner had tried to call it, using a doll wrapped in red cloth. The night she tried, an entire village died. Not torn apart, not attacked. Just stopped being alive. After that came sickness, then fire, then madness in the survivors. History didn't lose the story. People buried it on purpose. You don't forget things like that. You hide them until a curious man opens a trunk and unwraps what should have stayed sealed forever. Over the next days, the activity grew teeth. Footsteps walked the hall when nobody was there. Doors opened without sound. Objects slid across tables like someone nudged them and waited for us to notice. Ryan heard his name whispered straight into his ear. He turned. No one there. The rocking chair was never still again. His wife began waking with bruises. She didn't remember receiving. Not fingers, not hands. Just pressure marks. Like weight rested on her while she slept. At night, the hallway didn't look like part of the house anymore. It looked like a throat, and the couple was already inside it. They finally admitted they couldn't handle it alone. Desperation makes truth easy to say. A spiritual exorcist came. A man whose entire work is cleansing houses. People are afraid of. He didn't joke. Didn't pretend this was fine. He took one look at the wrapped doll and stopped talking mid-sentence. He said the red cloth was not decoration. It was a seal, whatever the doll invited. The cloth contained, he looked at us and said something I don't forget. If this thing wakes up all the way, no human can put it back to sleep. Then he started the ritual. The house reacted instantly. The walls began to vibrate. A scream ripped through the house. Not human, not animal. Just sound twisted into pain. The floor shook hard enough dust fell like rain from the ceiling. 2 black cats, brought as protection, went wild, tearing each other apart. Eyes rolled back like their minds were no longer theirs. The exorcist's voice cracked. He stopped chanting, because the shadow was already there. It came through the wall, not from behind it, through it. Tall, wrong, stretching, bending where bodies don't bend. The exorcist whispered one sentence. The seal was broken earlier. Then he left. He didn't walk away. He ran. And I don't blame him. He knew something we already feared. We were dealing with something that doesn't back down when you say holy words at it. That night, the neighbors heard everything. Screaming, furniture breaking. Then laughing. Not happy laughing. The kind of laughing people make when their mind splinters under pressure it was never built to hold. Then silence, dead silence. By the time anyone entered the mansion, it was too late. Words were written all over the walls in dark red streaks. They meant one thing. The shadows awake, the house was cold. Not winter cold, grave cold. The rocking chair was still moving, even with no one near it. Back and forth, no air movement. They found the couple in the basement. No wounds, no marks of struggle, no sign of the doll, no chest, nothing burned. Just absence, the kind that feels intentional. Ryan's journal was beside him, open to the final entry. His last line dragged at the end like the pen was yanked out of his hand. It's standing right behind me, the ink streak just stopped there. Nothing else written, no ending, just silence. The kind that feels like listening instead of resting. The 100-year shadow wasn't gone. It just didn't need the house anymore. The trunk has never been found, but on moonless nights, people still swear there's a tall shape standing at the top windows of that mansion. Too long, too thin, not moving like a person, just watching the road like it's waiting to be called again. And the calendar says the 100-year mark isn't far anymore. So listen carefully. If you ever find a doll wrapped in red cloth inside an old chest, don't be curious. Don't be brave. Put it back. And whatever you do, don't follow shadows with your eyes. Sometimes they aren't following you. Sometimes they're leading you. I'm Rafe Quinn, and this case is still open.